Everything that goes up eventually comes down, and that includes the prices for these watches we're about to uncover. We're going to talk about the top 7 watches that suddenly became worth way less than before, leaving fans and collectors pretty confused. These watches used to be expensive, but now their prices have taken a nosedive, and we'll figure out why that happened in the fancy watch world. Stay with us till the end to hear all the interesting stories about these watches. But before we reveal these watches that took a price decline, let's understand the factors behind it. Excess inventory. Dealers, both official and unofficial, had a ton of watches when everyone wanted them in 2022. But when the fancy watch craze started to slow down, lots of dealers, especially the unofficial ones, had too many watches and had to sell them fast. They flooded the market with discounted watches, and that's when things started going downhill for the watch business. Investors leaving. In 2020, the luxury watch business was booming. Brands like Rolex, Patek, and AP were popular, and even used watches were more expensive than new ones. Many people jumped in to make quick money, but now that the market is not as hot, those investors have moved on. Interest rates. Surprisingly, some unofficial dealers buy watches on credit or with borrowed money. The longer they keep the watches, the more it costs them. With interest rates going up, it's even more expensive. So, online or unofficial dealers are either buying watches at lower prices or selling them at a discount to get rid of them quickly. Rising prices. Living costs are higher in 2023, especially for things like groceries. Inflation is to blame. When the prices of things we need go up, there's less money left for things we want, like luxury watches. If people have less money for these watches, the demand goes down. Global events. When things get uncertain, people are careful with their money. Recent violent events worldwide have made countries uneasy, so people are spending less. This means there's less money around to support the luxury watch market. Now, considering all of this, let's check out watches that dropped in price. Rolex Daytona. Now let's talk about the Rolex Daytona, especially the famous John Mayer edition with its cool green dial and shiny yellow gold case and bracelet. This Daytona is considered one of Rolex's most eye-catching watches. Some people like the platinum version with its diamond bezel, but there's no denying that the John Mayer edition is a real attention grabber when you wear it. At its peak, this watch used to cost an incredible $170,000, making it a luxurious item. But things have changed, and now you can get a brand new one for about $90,000. If you're okay with getting a gently used one that's just a few years old, you might find it for around $70,000, depending on whether it still has its original box and papers. Predicting exactly how much it'll be worth in the future is tricky. The value of a watch can be affected by different things, like how rare it is and how much people want it. If Rolex ever decides to stop making this model, it could become even rarer, possibly making its price go up. While it's not likely to drop below $60,000 anytime soon, the world of fancy watches is always full of surprises, so there might be unexpected changes in the future. Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi. In the past, the Rolex Pepsi bezel was linked to watches made for pilots and people who travel always, because it helps keep track of time in different time zones. The GMT Master 2 series, which includes the Rolex Pepsi, is still popular among collectors and fans. When these watches were at their peak, they were selling for about $32,000, but when the market wasn't doing so well, you could find new ones for as low as $19,000. Now things are picking up again, and if you're thinking about getting a brand new one, it'll likely cost you around $22,000. Especially the Pepsi versions are a bit hard to get nowadays, especially if you want a brand new one. If you're okay with getting a used one, you might find them for less than $20,000. Rolex Panda Daytona. The Panda Daytona, known even before the recent watch craze, has always been highly sought after. At its peak, it commanded prices of $54,000 to $56,000, with people willing to pay a premium. Now, a brand new one goes for about $32,000 to $33,000, and if you're open to a used one, it's around $30,000. While these prices are above the original retail cost, they're far more reasonable compared to the times when people were paying 3 to 4 times the suggested retail price. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo. Now let's talk about the AP Royal Oak Jumbo, which comes in both a 39mm stainless steel and rose gold version. This watch is eye-catching with its 39mm size and slimmer design compared to the regular Royal Oak, making it stand out in the fancy watch world. In its heyday, the stainless steel version of this watch was expensive, going for an impressive $140,000 to $150,000 for the 15202 model. But things have changed, and now you can get a stainless steel one for around $60,000. If you're interested in the 16202 model with rose gold, it'll still cost you about $90,000. This is a big drop in value compared to its peak prices, with the stainless steel version going down by more than half. However, it's important to note that even with this drop, it's still selling for about double its original retail price. Audemars Piguet 50th Anniversary Royal. At its best, this specific watch reached high prices, going from about $125,000 to $150,000. When the version with the green dial first came out, the demand was crazy, and some sellers were asking for as much as $240,000 to $250,000. But things have changed, and now you can buy these watches for around $66,000. That's a big drop in value, about half of what they used to sell for. But even with this drop, they're still selling for more than their original price. Also, it's worth mentioning that the 50th anniversary versions of these watches usually sell for about 10% more than the ones that aren't the anniversary editions. It's easy to spot the 50th anniversary models because they usually have the 50th marking on the watch, usually in a noticeable spot. Patek Philippe Nautilus Rose Gold. This watch, once highly sought after by collectors, saw a substantial drop in market value. At its peak, the 599R model commanded an impressive $400,000, but today it can be acquired for a significantly lower price, around the high $200,000 range. Despite the decrease, it remains considerably more expensive than its original retail price. The Nautilus Rose Gold boasts the iconic porthole-shaped case, a Nautilus signature, crafted from lustrous rose gold. The dial's horizontal pattern adds sophistication, complementing the luxurious appearance created by the rose gold case and built-in bracelet. It's important to note the distinction between the 5990R and 5980R models, often confused. These watches differ in movements, yet both, despite market fluctuations, have maintained their exceptional value. Patek Philippe Nautilus reference 5980. As part of Patek Philippe's Nautilus collection, the 5980 model is known for its unique design and high-end features. With a chronograph function and a date display, the 5980 combines practicality and sophistication. Collectors and fans love the 5980 because it can easily go from casual to formal occasions. At its peak, this watch was crazy expensive, almost hitting the $400,000 mark, maybe even around $390,000, depending on where you bought it. But looking at it now, a brand new one goes for around $220,000, and that includes a new buckle. If you're open to getting a used one, you might find it for about $175,000. That's a big and noteworthy drop in price from its peak. It's important to mention that even at this lower price, some might still see it as a high-end luxury watch. If you were someone who paid tons of money for it back in its prime, we can understand how seeing such a significant drop in its market value might be disappointing. And that's conclude today's video. Comment down below your opinions on what are your thoughts regarding this significant price drop of these aforementioned watches. And to stay updated with our latest content, feel free to like and subscribe to Luxury Focus. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you at the next one.